The World Cup is the biggest sporting event on the planet. In 2026, it comes to North America at a scale the tournament has never seen before. 48 countries, 104 matches, 16 host cities, millions of tickets sold, and over a million international visitors moving across 3 countries to watch a game. In the United States alone, 11 host cities are preparing for an event backed by hundreds of millions of dollars in federal support for security, preparedness, and transit. And that still does not include every local cost required to make the tournament work. But every match creates a problem that has almost nothing to do with soccer. A normal city has to keep operating while tens of thousands of people arrive for one event. Houston will do this 7 times, roughly 70,000 people per match. Some going to the stadium, others gathering in fan zones, bars, hotels, and public spaces across the city. The World Cup does not just fill a stadium, it turns the city into the venue. Houston has its normal pressure. That pressure does not disappear because a match is being played. The city still has to function for everyone outside the event. The match adds a second schedule on top of the first. On a normal day, people move for different reasons. The system absorbs that because the pressure is spread out. A World Cup match does the opposite. It concentrates movement around one fixed point: kickoff. Fans arrive according to that clock. Roads change according to that clock. Security staffing, transit service, hotel demand, and medical coverage all bend around it. The city is no longer dealing with normal demand. It is dealing with synchronized demand. And synchronized demand is what exposes infrastructure. The question is not whether a city can host a soccer match. The question is whether a city can keep being a city while a temporary version of itself runs on top of it. Large infrastructure projects usually move slowly. Projects that might otherwise move through years of planning suddenly become part of a fixed operating date. Houston has its own version of that calculation. The light rail station nearest the stadium has to handle a kind of demand it was not originally built around: international visitors, match day crowds, heat, security screening, and people trying to navigate a system they may have never used before. The event does not start at the stadium. It starts when people enter the city. At IAH and Hobby, the World Cup shows up as people trying to navigate a place they do not know. They are not just passengers, they are future stadium crowds, and they are arriving days before kickoff. Hotels fill before the stadium does. Restaurants near hotels feel the event before the gates open. Rideshare demand rises long before anyone is near the stadium. But the stadium is only one gathering point. Fan zones create another. People arrive without tickets, stay for hours, and leave in waves. It is a temporary venue operating inside the city, with its own crowd pressure and its own exit problem. On a match day, Houston is not managing one crowd in one place. It is managing overlapping crowds across the same urban system. This is why the World Cup is not one event in one location. It is a network of temporary events layered across a city that still has to operate normally. Houston is built around cars. That gives the city capacity, but it also means that when roads fail, the failure spreads. Getting people to the stadium is only half the job. Arrival is staggered. The exit is different. At the final whistle, the crowd becomes synchronized. Everyone stands up and moves at once toward a car, a train, a bus, or a rideshare pickup point. One delay is not the problem. The problem is how quickly one delay turns into several others. When movement stops in one place, the pressure does not stay there. It spreads through the transportation system and makes the next problem harder to contain. The match happens inside the stadium. The transportation test happens outside it. The stadium is not the whole story. It is where the pressure concentrates most. In Houston, the building also has to fight the weather. Outside, the heat index can reach 105 or higher. Fans walking in from parking lots and rail platforms are already worn down before they reach the gates. NRG's air conditioning system and retractable roof are not just comfort features. The World Cup adds demand without pausing anything else. The rest of the city still has to operate around it. The match sits on top of all of it. On match day, agencies that normally operate separately have to behave like one system. A crowd backing up at the stadium gate is a stadium problem until it spills into the street. Then it is a traffic problem. In Houston heat, it can become a medical problem. If it blocks an ambulance route, it becomes an emergency response problem. The issue is not force, it is coordination. Information has to move fast enough to matter. The city has to see small problems early, understand what they are becoming, and act before they spread into the next system. Most people will remember the match, a goal, a save, the noise when the crowd reacts. They will not remember the volunteer who gave them directions at the airport, or the air conditioning hitting them like a wall when they walked in from the Houston heat. That is what a World Cup does to a city. It does not just fill a stadium, it turns the city into the venue. For one day, Houston has to run its normal life and a temporary city at the same time. And if it works, almost nobody has to think about it.